answered by our group. So, activity 1 is entitled Electronic Surfing and Poster Making. So, number 1, through the use of search engine, identify at least 5 standardized tests being used on large-scale assessment. So, the first standardized test that we found is the NAT, or National Achievement Test, and its purpose is to evaluate students' knowledge of a verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, analytical writing, and critical writing. So the subject areas tested here is all subject areas of high school graduates. So second is the Common Core State Test, and its purpose is to help students graduate with the skills they need to succeed in college, while the subject area tested is math, economics, physical education, arts, and the level is K-12. So the third one is the GRE, or Graduate Record Examination. So its purpose is to determine the college career of the student, and the subject areas tested is English and Math of high school graduates. So next is the Scholastic Assessment Test, which is a tool in preparing students for state and high-stakes tests, and the subject area tested is Science, English, History, and Math, and the level covered is post-secondary. And lastly is the STAR test, and its purpose is to evaluate students in reading, early literacy, or math. And the subject area tested is reading, early literacy, and math, while the level is K-12.
And for activity 1, number 2, be ready to make a poster presentation of one standardized test we have found. So the standardized test that me and my group mates chose is National Achievement Test, or NAT, because it is the most common standardized test here in the Philippines, and I know that my classmates have already experienced taking this kind of standardized test, so most of them can relate to the poster that we have. So in the poster, we can see the 3 purposes of National Achievement Test. So first, it determines the student's academic level. Second, it determines the student's strengths and weaknesses. And lastly, third, it determines the scope of students' knowledge that they learned in their major subjects throughout the year.
So again, good morning everyone. I am tasked to discuss the activity 2, writing a paper on implementation of LSA. Using an electronic search engine, choose one country that has implemented large-scale student assessment. Write a one-page paper on the implementation of LSA in your chosen country containing the following. So, the following are: letter A, brief history of its LSA. Letter B, current practice of LSA, purpose, standardized test for LSA. And lastly, the challenges or issue in LSA implementation will be discussed by Egan Paul Burmas. So, let's proceed to brief history of its LSA. As you can see in your screen, this is the brief history of its LSA. The large-scale assessment can be traced to 1985. So, at that time, tests were administered to a national sample in a project led by the Organizations of American States, or the OEA. And let's move on to letter B, the current practice of LSA purpose, standardized test for large-scale assessment. United States of America. The United States currently has no shortage of large-scale standardized achievement tests. However, the existing inventory of tests does not provide comparable individual scores for an entire population of students, and there are good reasons to believe that even with extensive modification, no one test could. This paper shows the utility of the most widely used national and international achievement test. So, hindi ko na po siya maisa-isa or malalahat basahin. Nakita niyo naman sa inyong screen yung current practice of LSA purpose standardized test for large-scale assessment of the United States of America. So, in conclusion po, we can say that despite their variety, none of the large-scale national achievement tests currently in use can be employed to monitor individual students' progress or to evaluate the effectiveness of particular districts or educational programs.
For letter C, challenges or issues in LSA implementation. LSA are expensive, regardless of who bears the cost of a particular LSA. It requires a lot of money to design, develop, administer, score, and report. One of the most damaging side effects of LSA is the distortion of education. The distortion happens on multiple levels. LSA distort the purpose of education by misleading believe that performance on LSA accurately reflects the quality of education. Another side effect of LSAs on education is demoralization of education professionals and students. Most educators enter the education system with a strong desire and motivation to support students and encourage lifelong learning. LSA add start unique stress and factors that diminish teachers and leaders' motivation.
So, for the apply po, dun sa group dialogue, yung ginawa po namin is diniscuss po namin, ginamit po namin yung messenger GC po namin para i-discuss yung mga conditions, yung 11 conditions po, and yung possible reasons why such condition must be present and what is likely to happen if such condition does not exist. So as shown po in the video sa slides po namin na ginawa, andun po yung summary po ng convos po namin, and yun po, kindly read na lang po yung mga sagot po namin. Like sa condition number 1, yung meron po siya na respective possible reason po kung bakit kailangan yung condition na yon ay maging present. And meron din po doon yung what is likely to happen if such condition does not exist. So, nakalagay naman na po siya sa PPT. Kindly read na lang po. Hindi ko na po siya isa-isang i-discuss kasi nakikita naman po siya sa screen. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Assess. Task restricted response questions. Give 3 instances of how LSA uses high-stake test in country. Okay. Grade level standardized test of achievement administered at major transition points which students have to pass before proceeding to the next higher level. This is done in countries influenced by the British system of education. Second one is examination given by secondary school before graduation to certify students' readiness for college level. Failure could harshly mean not receiving the secondary diploma or requiring the student to take extra units of coursework as a remedial intervention before they are allowed to go. Third one is the senior students taking a national achievement test at a scheduled time with their obtained scores, spelling admissions or non-admissions to tertiary institution of their choice. Only those reaching the first standard of the institution could get admitted.
Number 2, give 2 illustration of how LSA is used for evaluation purposes. The first one is LSA is used for evaluation purposes to ensure that these areas are clearly articulated in the curriculum and are supported with appropriate instructional materials. The second one is to prepare teachers and encourage using teaching strategies that increase learning outcomes for all students and to improve students' performance.
Number 3. In addition to using LSA to improve student achievement, name 3 value-added advantages in implementing LSA. First is establish broad agreement about what school outcomes are essential for all students. If there is a broad agreement, most of them will agree about it in a general way, even if they do not agree on all its details. Number 2, assess student progress in the areas of importance at different time over their school careers. And number 3, prepares teacher and encourage them to use teaching strategies that increase learning outcomes for all students. If the teacher use teaching strategies, it will help their student to bypass their areas of weakness and to perform at the level which they are capable.
Number 4. How can LSA be more assured of improving student performance? Give at least 5 conditions and justify each. Number 1. Establish broad agreement about what school outcomes are essential for all students. Number 2. Prepare teachers and encourage them to use teaching strategies that increase learning outcomes for all students.